You've carried the weight of everyone else's emotions for far too long, and you don't even notice how heavy it has made your own heart. Every worry, every frustration, every heartbreak that wasn't yours, you swallowed it, digested it, and let it settle inside you like a storm cloud that never leaves. You've been a vessel for feelings that weren't yours to carry, a safe harbor for people who never asked how you were doing, who never cared what it cost you to hold their pain. And in all that giving, you've forgotten what it means to have your own life, your own mind, your own peace. You've been so busy feeling for others that you barely remember how to feel for yourself. You wake up exhausted, carrying invisible scars that no one else can see, and yet you keep going because that's what empaths do. You keep going until the weight starts to crush you, until the constant giving begins to feel like suffocation, and then you tell yourself it's normal. You tell yourself this is who you are. But deep down, you know something is broken. Something is not right, and here's the truth that nobody will ever tell you. It's not love that's broken, it's your understanding of it. You've been misled to believe that caring more, giving more, feeling more equals virtue, that your worth is measured by how much you can carry for others without collapsing, but that is a lie so corrosive it eats away at your soul. Caring is not a currency to spend until you're bankrupt. Empathy is a gift, yes, but when it becomes a habit of self-destruction, it is no longer a gift. It is a weapon against yourself, and it is one you wield unconsciously, every single day. You've been so busy keeping everyone else afloat that you've allowed yourself to drown in silence. And now, if you're honest, you can feel it. The exhaustion, the resentment, the quiet rage at a world that doesn't notice, that doesn't care, that keeps taking and taking while you give and give. The moment you finally stop caring in the way you always have, the moment you put a line in the sand and refuse to cross it for people who will never respect it, everything changes. The first realization hits like a slap to the face. The world does not collapse without your constant emotional labor. The people who depended on you will scramble, they will panic, they may even lash out. But the world does not end. The weight you carried was never theirs to give you. It was never your responsibility to hold. And yet for so long, you believed it was. You believed it was your job to absorb the storms of others, to act as a buffer between chaos and calm, to sacrifice your sanity for the illusion of harmony. And in that belief, you lost yourself. Every sleepless night, every anxious thought, every moment spent overthinking someone else's life while ignoring your own, built a cage around you. You built walls of exhaustion and self-doubt brick by brick, and now you are ready to tear them down. And when that cage finally breaks, when you finally allow yourself to care for yourself first, you feel something you didn't expect, freedom. It's a sharp, intoxicating freedom that makes you dizzy because it's unfamiliar. You feel your mind clearing, your heart lightening, your spirit remembering what it is to breathe without carrying another's burden. You start to notice things you hadn't allowed yourself to notice before. Your own desires, your own needs, your own worth. You see the world not as a series of crises to manage, not as a series of people to save, but as a place where you can exist without apology. You begin to understand that protecting your energy is not selfish, it is survival. And the truth hits hard. For the first time, you realize that everything you gave away to others, everything you sacrificed, could have been used to build yourself, to nurture yourself, to grow yourself into someone unbreakable. This awakening is not gentle. It is not quiet. It shakes you to your core because it forces you to confront the reality you have avoided, that much of your suffering was self-inflicted, disguised as love. You begin to see patterns you ignored, choices you made blindly, relationships you poured yourself into without reciprocity. You see the countless times you tolerated lies, excuses, and disrespect, all because you thought your care would fix it. And here's the shocking part. It never did. The more you gave, the more they took. The more you sacrificed, the more invisible you became. And yet, that realization, as painful as it is liberating. Because now, for the first time, you understand that stopping, refusing, letting go is not cruelty. It is clarity. It is the act of finally prioritizing the person you have ignored for far too long. Yourself you have spent your life bending, breaking, and bleeding for everyone else, thinking that love is measured in sacrifice. But true strength, true resilience, comes from knowing when to stop, when to withdraw, when to protect your mind, your heart, your life. The moment you finally stop caring the way you always have, you stop being a hostage to everyone else's emotions. You stop being the constant emotional crutch. You reclaim yourself. And in that reclamation, you begin to see the world and yourself in a way that is raw, unfiltered, and undeniably powerful. The first time you stop caring like this, it's terrifying, it's exhilarating, it's life-altering, it's the beginning of your awakening. The moment you realize that the only person you owe your energy to, the only one who truly deserves it, is you. Stop kidding yourself. You've been lying to yourself for years, pretending that you can save everyone, that your constant giving is noble, that the weight you carry is somehow proof of your strength. But here's the truth. You can't save everyone. You never could. No matter how much you care, no matter how many sleepless nights you spent worrying, no matter how many sacrifices you made, some people will never change. Some people will never see your effort. Some people will never feel your loyalty. And the harshest reality, the harder you try to fix them, the more hollow you become. Every ounce of energy you pour into others is taken as entitlement. Every act of selflessness is assumed. Every boundary you push is ignored. And in return, what do you get? Nothing. A little gratitude? Maybe. But more often indifference, disappointment, and the quiet erosion of your own spirit. You've been the hero in someone else's story, the invisible force holding up walls that weren't yours to support. You've been a steady hand, a listening ear, a shoulder to cry on, and yet your own tears, your own burdens, your own struggles have been tucked away, dismissed, or even ridiculed. And all this time you told yourself it was okay, that caring this much was proof of your character. But caring this much without protection is not character. It's vulnerability weaponized against yourself. You're the one being crushed under the weight of the world, while everyone else gets to live freely, untouched by the storm you carry inside. And the moment you finally see this, the moment you admit it to yourself, it hits like a freight train. You've been living on borrowed pain. Pain that wasn't yours, stress that wasn't yours, responsibility that wasn't yours. The realization is brutal. You have been bending over backward for people who wouldn't bend a finger for you. You have been pouring life into relationships that don't even notice you exist unless you perform emotional labor on cue. And the harshest truth of all, you allowed it. You let it happen. You thought this was love, this was connection, this was purpose. But the deeper truth is this: you were training people to take from you without giving back, to rely on your empathy as if it were an endless resource. And the more you gave, the more they expected. The more they expected, the less they appreciated. And the less they appreciated, the emptier you became. You have been running on fumes, convincing yourself that exhaustion is a sign of commitment, that resentment is just a part of caring, that burnout is the price you pay for being human. But it's not. Burnout is a warning. Resentment is a signal. Exhaustion is the body's way of saying enough. And yet, so many empaths ignore it, pretend it doesn't exist, and keep giving until the cracks in their soul are irreparable. And here's the moment most will never reach. The moment when you finally say, I am done being everything for everyone else while nothing is left for me. It's terrifying, because saying it means admitting that you've been hurt, that you've been exploited, that the world doesn't work the way you've been trained to believe. It's terrifying because it means standing alone for the first time, placing your needs above the incessant demands of others. But here's the shocker. Nothing collapses. The people you thought would crumble without your constant care. They stumble, yes, they panic, yes, but the world keeps turning. The sky still rises. The sun still shines. And you feel lighter than you have in years. You feel free in a way you didn't know was possible. Because when you stop trying to save everyone, when you finally stop giving in ways that hurt you, you reclaim your energy, your power, your mind. You start noticing the little things, the calm in your thoughts, the peace in your body, the clarity in your decisions. You see patterns, relationships, and opportunities that were invisible when your attention was hijacked by the chaos of others. The small but powerful shift is this: you start to protect yourself first. You start to understand that caring indiscriminately is a form of self-abuse, that boundaries are not walls to shut people out, but shields to keep your heart from being torn apart, that your energy is precious, and giving it without thought is not love, it's depletion. And slowly, mercilessly, the world around you begins to change. People who never appreciated you drift away. People who took you for granted stumble on their own. And you stand firm. You watch the drama unfold without participation. You feel nothing but relief. You feel nothing but power. And the final undeniable truth: you will never see the world the same way again. You will never allow yourself to be drained like that. You will never give endlessly to people who don't value you. Because once you've seen the toll of caring too much, the exhaustion, the resentment, the hollowness, there is no going back. You will choose yourself. You will guard your mind, your heart, your life. And in that choice lies the beginning of freedom. Raw, unfiltered, and utterly unstoppable. Here's the kicker. The world doesn't care about your sacrifice. It never has. It never will. You've been giving your energy, your heart, your life, expecting acknowledgement, expecting gratitude, expecting some hint that your pain mattered, and more often than not, you were met with indifference. People lean on you because they can, not because they respect you. They take your care for granted because they know it will always be there, a constant stream of emotional labor they don't have to pay for. And the more you give, the more they expect, the more they take, until you look in the mirror one day and barely recognize the person staring back. You've been hollowed out, worn down, depleted by a world that thrives on your empathy but doesn't reciprocate. And the worst part? You kept letting it happen, telling yourself it was okay, telling yourself it was love, telling yourself it was your duty. It's harsh, but necessary to say, your empathy has been exploited. Not by everyone, but by enough that it has become a liability instead of a gift. You've carried the invisible weight of others' chaos like it was your own. And in doing so, you have neglected the one person who actually matters, yourself. Every time someone leaned on you, every time they unloaded their problems, their pain, their anger, you absorbed it all without hesitation. And every time, a little more of you disappeared. Your peace, your clarity, your ability to see yourself for who you truly are, all chipped away. And yet you kept showing up, because you believed that giving endlessly would earn you love, acceptance, or even basic human decency. The cold, ugly truth is this: it doesn't. It never does. The moment you realize that the world does not owe you recognition, that your efforts are often invisible, that your sacrifices are rarely honored, that is the moment your perspective starts to shift. You start to understand that giving without limits is not noble. It is self-erasure. It is training the world to take from you without consequence. You begin to see patterns that were invisible when your mind was clouded with guilt and obligation. You notice who drains you, who takes without giving, who leaves scars on your mind while you were busy stitching their wounds. And the realization is brutal. You allowed it. You let people dictate the terms of your life, dictate the boundaries of your energy, dictate how much of yourself you could keep. And in that allowance, you lost more than you ever realized. But here's the shocking truth that most empaths never get. Stopping does not destroy the world. It does not collapse relationships. It does not break lives. People will survive without your constant caretaking. They may stumble. They may panic. They may even lash out at first, but they will continue. And you will rise. You will feel the power of reclaiming what is yours, your mind, your heart, your energy. The liberation you feel is intoxicating because it is unfamiliar. You have spent years running on fumes, thinking your value is measured by how much you can give without receiving. Now you understand that your value is inherent and your energy is finite. Every time you give it without thought, you rob yourself of what you need to thrive, and then comes the subtle, but seismic shift. Boundaries become non-negotiable. The people who once took advantage of your care begin to see walls where there were none. They test you, they push, they try to pull you back into the old patterns. And you finally have the clarity, the strength, the courage to say no, to refuse, to walk away, to protect yourself unapologetically. The panic that once gripped you at the thought of conflict dissolves. You understand that protecting your energy is not selfish. It is survival. It is intelligence. It is mastery over a life you were too long willing to surrender to everyone else's chaos. The truth you must confront, though, is uncomfortable. Some people will hate you for it. They will label you selfish, cold, uncaring. They will try to shame you for prioritizing yourself. And here's the bitter, liberating reality. That is exactly the point. Their discomfort is the proof that you have been giving away your power for too long. The moment you stop bending to meet their expectations, the moment you put yourself first, the world reacts. People who never valued you as a person, who only valued what you could provide emotionally, will either adapt or drift away. And in that space, in that emptiness, your life begins to realign. You reclaim time, clarity, and peace. You reclaim the parts of yourself that were stolen by obligation, guilt, and manipulation. This is a wake-up call. The more you protect your energy, the stronger you become. The less you allow others to drain you, the more life you have for yourself. The world may not notice, but you will. You will feel the weight lift, the fog clear, the relentless tension that has haunted you vanish. And when you look back, you will realize that everything you thought you were sacrificing for others was in truth an illusion. It was a choice you never needed to make. You were never required to give at the cost of your sanity, and now finally you know it. And here is the small but life-altering shift. Caring indiscriminately is not love. Sacrifice without reciprocity is not noble. Protecting yourself is not selfish. Your energy is a resource. And the moment you treat it as such, you reclaim the only thing that has ever truly been yours. You're addicted to caring. You don't even realize it, but it has been running your life like a silent autopilot. You've made it a reflex, a badge of honor, a proof of your character, telling yourself, I'm good because I feel, because I give, because I absorb what others cannot. But here's the brutal truth. Caring indiscriminately is a form of self-abuse. Every time you bend over backward for someone who doesn't value you, every time you sacrifice your peace, every time you swallow your own needs to feed someone else's, you are teaching the world that your energy is expendable. You are telling it that your mind, your heart, your life is nothing more than a resource for others to exploit. And worse, you are telling yourself the same lie. You tell yourself it's love, that it's empathy, that it's selflessness. But the deeper, uglier reality is that it is pain disguised as virtue. For years, you've been punishing yourself under the guise of care. Every sleepless night, every anxious thought, every nagging sense that something is wrong in your life. It's the cost of caring too much. You have been absorbing the chaos, the lies, the frustrations, the unspoken anger of people who don't give a second thought to what you endure. And yet you keep showing up, because you believe that stopping would make you selfish. You believe that withdrawal equals abandonment. You believe that protecting yourself is a crime. But the truth is this: the more you continue to give without boundaries, the more you erode the very foundation of who you are. Your empathy becomes a chain, your heart becomes a cage, and mind becomes a battlefield where you fight wars that were never yours to fight. Here's the shocking part. The people you sacrifice for will never change unless you stop. They don't want your empathy, they want your energy. They don't want your presence, they want your availability. And every time you give in, you reinforce the behavior that drains you. You are training them to take from you without giving back, to lean on you without noticing your exhaustion, to demand your attention without offering respect in return. And every time you allow it, every time you swallow your frustration and keep giving, you are erasing yourself, little by little. It is invisible, it is insidious, and it is relentless. But there is a turning point. The moment when the exhaustion becomes unbearable, when resentment becomes undeniable, when the hollowness inside can no longer be ignored. That is when clarity arrives, harsh and unfiltered. That is when you realize that caring indiscriminately is not noble. It is not love. It is self-destruction masquerading as virtue. And the moment you see this, something inside you clicks. You begin to understand that the way you have been living is unsustainable, that the rules you've been following were never meant for you, that the chains you've been carrying were forged by expectation, guilt, and manipulation. And then comes the awakening. The understanding that you don't have to keep bending, breaking, bleeding for people who would never do the same for you. You don't have to absorb their chaos to be worthy of love. You don't have to sacrifice your peace to prove your empathy. You start to see the world differently, not as a series of crises to manage, not as a set of people to save, not as a test of how much pain you can endure, but as a place where your energy is finite, your time is precious, and your life is yours to protect. You begin to understand the raw, undeniable power of boundaries, that they are not walls to shut people out, but shields to prevent the world from destroying you. And here is the uncomfortable, liberating truth. The moment you stop being everyone else's emotional dumping ground, you will be accused of being cold, selfish, or uncaring. People will push, prod, manipulate, and even guilt you into returning to the old patterns. They will threaten the stability you've built because they've been relying on your weakness for so long. But you cannot go back. You have seen the toll it has taken. You have felt the erosion of your soul. You have walked through the fire of your own overextension and come out burning with clarity. And the only way forward is to protect yourself relentlessly, unapologetically, without compromise. The shift is subtle but revolutionary. Your energy becomes yours first. Your peace, your time, your mind, your heart, they belong to you. And the moment you understand this, the moment you truly internalize it, something changes in the way you move through life. You stop giving to people who drain you. You stop absorbing chaos that isn't yours. You stop apologizing for protecting yourself. And in doing so, you reclaim the parts of yourself that you had lost, the parts that were quietly dying while you served as a vessel for everyone else. It is not an easy realization. It is not a gentle one, but it is necessary. Because when you finally stop allowing your empathy to be weaponized against you, when you finally protect your heart and your mind, you gain something far greater than anything you gave away: freedom, clarity, strength, control over your life in a way you have never known. And for the first time in years, you feel whole again. Imagine this: for the first time, you stop giving a damn. Not in a small way, not just for a few hours or a few people, but entirely. You stop explaining, apologizing, bending, and sacrificing. You stop trying to fix people who don't want fixing. You stop walking on eggshells, tiptoeing around fragile